Go.
That's all right, Lord of the Manor. Whoa!
All right, all right, all right. Sorry, someone wanted a cup of coffee. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Crossroads. And Susan Lee's here once again. Hi, Susan. How are you?
Hi, Steve. I'm good, thank you, in spite of the weather. It's gone a bit
Oh,
grim,
no.
hasn't it?
Got a bit really cold, isn't it? Really cold tonight. I want to talk to you tonight about sleep.
Okay.
Okay, and sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes when people's got stress or they're worrying about something, they find it very difficult to sleep. And what can be done for them to get a good night's sleep?
Well, I think first of all, we at the minute are putting everything down to Corona COVID because there's so much uncertainty around. And I do agree that that has a huge impact on our ability to sleep. But actually, even before Corona, even before all this uncertainty and worry occurred in our lives, even then, this time last year, 90% of adults said they didn't get enough sleep. And in 2018, there was a survey done, and I can't remember who it was who did it, but they found that sleep-related issues, stress and sleep-related issues, cost UK businesses in 2018 £40 billion, which is the equivalent of 200,000 days of lost productivity. So it's a huge issue for many of us because so many of us are living with stress or anxiety or a whole load of different factors. So yes, that is particularly evident at the minute with so much that's going on, vivid dreams, weird dreams, a lot of mental health issues at the moment. But sleep has always been a bit of an issue for us. So I think there's several things that can be done which really are sort of lifestyle change things, I guess, in a sense that we perhaps need to start thinking about how we treat sleep. What's our attitude to sleep? Do we tell ourselves, oh, I can't sleep, I don't sleep, it doesn't, I never get it, or I'm always waking up or whatever. These things might be true, but just because it's true today doesn't mean it has to become a pattern. So I think one of the things is to start addressing our attitude to how we feel about sleep. Do we feel it's going to be something that's always a struggle, or is it something we never think about? And we might not, there's lots of things that happen in our lives that we don't really think about too much, but once we start thinking about them, they can become a big deal. So if I just go to bed and get in bed and that's it, and I'm not really thinking about it, or if at 3 o'clock in the afternoon I start thinking, oh my goodness me, and how long is it before I can go to bed, and will I be sleeping, and all that kind of thing, and that can be quite a serious impact on our quality of sleep. And one of the things I often say is it's not necessarily how long we sleep for, it's the quality of sleep that we have. Because some people will go to bed for 8, 9 hours, 10 hours, and they still wake up shattered and jaded and hot and bothered and irritable.
What do you think that? What do you think that then? If you have around about 8 or 9 hours sleep and you wake up and you're just still feeling tired,
I think we have to look at lots of different things. And when I'm I'm a therapist, and when I'm working with clients, I tend not to start with the symptoms because I think the symptoms are literally the top level of issue that's going on. You know, if I have a skin rash, I can whack a load of cream on it, or I can say, where's it coming from if it happens a lot? So it might be a bee sting or a nettle rash, but if I'm getting spots all the time coming through, then I need to have a look at inside what's going on. And I think the same happens with sleep, that we may have a lot of stress going on in our lives. Well, if we do, then sleep is often one of the things that's affected. There's 360 physical symptoms of stress, and sleep
Mm.
and poor quality sleep is one of them. So maybe having a look at what's going on in your life, maybe having a look at how you treat sleep. Do you work right the way through the day, and then get to bedtime and think, oh, I'll just clean the bathroom, or I'll just do this, or I'll just do that, and then crash into bed and then lie there thinking, well, I'm here now, I should be sleeping. It doesn't work that
Mm.
way. So we have to
Mm.
start perhaps thinking about winding down a bit. You know, what's your diet like? What's your alcohol intake like? What's your exercise level like? How much fresh air do you get? Do you
Mm.
manage your stress things? What's your bedroom like? Is it too hot or cold? Is your mattress okay? You know, are you sleeping with somebody who's snoring or restless or fidgety or a shift worker? Did your sleep pattern change after you had your baby? Because I
Mm.
find quite a lot of women start when they had a baby were so concerned about sleeping through that they wake up at the least noise. So you know that there can be several things that we need to perhaps look at and say, it might not just be my sleep, it might be that my sleep patterns or my disturbed sleep or unrestful sleep is because of something else that's going on, and then we have to take time to work it through and then start treating that as important like you would anything else.
Mm. 'Cause it's really difficult in it, because I remember before I came here, when I used to work, and I used to work nights, I could kind of like, I couldn't sleep during the day. And when I was working at night, at a certain time, about 4 o'clock in the morning, I should start falling asleep.
Yeah, they always say 4 a.m. is a dodgy time for shift
Yeah,
workers. They always say
yeah,
that, and that's why a lot of companies now are. I mean, I've done quite a lot of radio for the BBC, as you know,
yeah, yeah,
and one of the things that we were talking about was sleep and the shift worker.
yeah.
And I've done articles for magazines on this, and a lot of employers now are realizing that it's not just about the quality of the work that they're getting from their overnight workers. It's actually the health and well-being and the accidents and the poor concentration. Because if you've got somebody who is tired and the concentration and the drifting off and they're like this, then you have to start thinking about the lighting, you have to start thinking about meal breaks, you have to
Mm,
start thinking about getting them fresh air. You know, how comfortable are they, you know, and sort of, have they got stimulus, have they got somebody else to talk to? Different things that can really make a difference to somebody who's working unnatural shifts, because it's against
mm,
the grain for human beings to be working overnight, even though it's important in a lot of businesses, and you know, drivers, delivery workers, people who are loading up the vans and things for all these, you know, supermarkets, hospitals, all sorts of places now have people who are working right the way through, and these people need to be protected and looked after for
mm,
everybody's sake, for their sake as well as the business,
mm.
you know.
But hospitals don't get much protection, though, do they? Because
No.
they're always on the go. It's always a turnover
Yeah.
all the time.
Well, they're working, I don't know, some of these poor guys are working 20, 30, 40 hour shifts. So, you know, hardly a break at all. So it really, you know, I wouldn't like an operation at the end of somebody's long shift like that. But
Yeah, no, no.
it's having to, you know, expediency, and some doctors regard that as a crucial part of the training, having them saying that's the best part of the training, that you work in 36 hours right the way through, you know, because it really teaches you about discipline and mindset and all the rest of it, but it is going against the grain for your body, and it does impact on your body if you're doing it long enough,
Mm.
relentlessly enough. It's a harsh way to live.
What would happen if somebody's got money worries? And I've got somebody coming up here now to me, and he said, "I've got money worries, but I have problems sleeping. I always, how can he forget about that? And I know he can't forget about it, but how can he just put it to one side and get a good night's sleep?"
I think if we have any kind of worries, that I think if we start thinking what we're doing about it, I think
Yeah.
once we start, a lot of sleep issues are because we're out of control. and we feel
Right.
we're perhaps at the situation's mercy, at somebody else's mercy, and whether it's a divorce or matrimonial or debt or whatever it might be, or have I got a job tomorrow? I think a lot of this boils down to feeling that you're a bit more in control. And then, if maybe start with a list. Some people love lists, some people don't. But, right, I'll get in touch with the debt people, I'll get in touch with the credit card people and explain my situation. Often, if you do that, you find that uh, credit card companies, particularly, are quite happy once they know the situation. Mortgage companies the same, quite happy once they know the situation. They may agree to freeze the interest. They may agree on a much reduced
Mm.
repayment plan. There's all sorts of options that are open to you. And I think once we start dealing with things, once we start taking steps to try and get back into control or feel that we're doing something about it, that can help us feel a little less stressed, having a little less weight on our mind. I'm proactive. I'm getting back
Mm.
in control. Maybe talking to your friends or family. Some people have great shame about being in debt, or losing their job, or that contract didn't come through, or something bad's they got a parking fine, or a speeding ticket or something. Some people feel overwhelmed with shame about these things, and that
Mm.
impacts on our ability to sleep. Talking to friends or family, and sometimes just sharing that, and often you get a bit of relief discovering that a lot of other people are in the same situation as you, and that again can ease some of the burden and help you feel not so alone, not so isolated, not such a failure, perhaps, not so desperate or desolate, and
Mm.
taking steps in the right direction. Not making lists of what you're going to do, what you've done today, saying well done, and then what you're going to do tomorrow. Right, I'll phone them, or I'll try and sort out a part-time job and agree to pay so much back, or whatever it is that will actually help you feel that you're doing something about it. Because when
Mm.
that happens, you can say, right, I've done this today, I'm going to do that tomorrow, I've done all I can, let me park it up for now, and let me go to bed and rest. And even if you're resting and you're not completely clear in your mind, at least you're getting some benefit from doing that.
Mm. Mm. I've been having problems because I do a lot of campaigning now for obesity, and I do a lot of that, and I've been having problems with sleep for the past, gosh, about a year or so. And what they did was, because my breathing used to go, so they put me on sleep apnea,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I thought, oh no, I don't really want to cover my face with a mask. That's one thing I was worried about. And in the end, I used it, and I was getting better sleep.
Okay.
But the trouble was, though, when I kind of like was started worrying about something, if it was something good in my head, I was finding problems that I couldn't cope. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, yeah.
I just couldn't cope. And on my machine it used to go red, and that means it's something's wrong and everything, it was just coping because I was so worried about things that I was just getting up and then trying to go back to sleep again, getting up, and it was like I was like a yo-yo
Mm.
for about a week or so. My wife was getting really fed up with me because,
Mm.
but it's so hard though, isn't it? It's so hard
Well,
when we start worrying.
a lot of what you're describing there is what I call negative self-talk, and the way we talk to ourselves, our expectation. I've just written an article on coping over autumn and the darker nights, and if we're going into tier 3 or lockdown or whatever the heck it might be that's looming on the horizon, and a lot of this is what were your past historical expectations? What are your expectations now? And I
Mm.
think when we look at how we feel about situations, how we feel about what's going on, how we feel about what's going to happen, that talk, that self-talk, can contaminate, can percolate right through, so that we're building up an expectation. And as you say, when I didn't think about it, I was fine. When I did think about it and worry about it, it wasn't fine. and,
Mm.
and and in a sense, you've answered your own question, really, that if you try in some way to distract yourself, and try and be matter of fact about this and say, okay, this helps me. When I use this, I get better sleep. rather than, oh my goodness me, I'm trapped, I'm feeling claustrophobic or whatever the heck it might be. Intercept. I would say intercept at the vulnerable place. If you're in danger of buying booze or chocolate cakes or something when you're at the supermarket, don't go as often. Intercept at the vulnerable place. Chip in, sort yourself out, so that if you find you're talking in a negative way and then building up a panic or a stress about something that's happening, intercept and distract yourself, and I don't know, go for a walk, watch the telly, play some music, make yourself a milky drink or something that takes your mind off that, and then change the narrative. So from it being a negative, turn it into a more positive sentence. This is helping me. This is good for me. I'm breathing in oxygen. It's good for me to do this. It helps me to sleep. It helps me be healthier, and change the story for yourself so that you feel more positive about what you're telling yourself. And that's really an important thing to do.
See, the trouble is with me, recently I've been trying to change. I've been changing my life for the last few years about with my obesity and everything else, and I've had strokes. That's why my speech is a bit. I've got problems with that. But the trouble is, though, it's so hard these days when you're kind of like it's like the COVID situation. It's like everything, going on, and people losing jobs. They're so worried of what's
Yeah,
going to happen next.
absolutely.
I know someone the other day who was finding that he hadn't slept for about 2 weeks,
Yeah, yeah,
2 weeks, and he committed suicide.
yeah,
Because he had in
absolutely.
his brain, he just had enough.
Yeah, I understand that. Somebody I know very well, he's worked for years to build his printing business up. Absolutely worked like a Trojan, lives in miles away, came in every day on the train, built this business up, networked like crazy, did a really good job, out there all the time. He's just had to sell his business at a massive loss because he couldn't sustain it. He couldn't sustain it. He's had to let his staff go. And his wife runs a florist business that links him with wedding planning. So
All right.
the both of them are out of work because there's no
Yeah.
weddings and no wedding planning. So, nobody has been unaffected by this. We've all had horrific stories, some worse than others, some desperately sad, of course. But I think the thing, and it's not ending, I mean, with the NHS apparently preparing for 12 more months of this. So we have to be a little bit philosophical, I guess, if we possibly can. But, for me, the way I've tried to cope is, I mean, is to say, what can I change? What can I do about some of this? What parts of this can I impact? You and me spending 30, 40 minutes talking about corona and COVID and, whether it's a virus or it's not a virus, or it's a government conspiracy or it's not, or whatever the heck it might be, or, all the different rumors and stories going round will not change
Yeah.
a blind thing about it. So we
Mm,
have to kind of say, that stock phrase, it is what it is. It is
mm,
what it is. What can I do about this? And how can I help myself to cope with this better? And my view is the best way is to try to set yourself up. And there's articles on my website, lifestyletherapy.net, about a lot of this, how to cope, how to come out of this, fear of going out again, because the
mm,
impact, a lot of people are scared of
mm,
going out, even though, in areas they can, a lot of areas they can still go out in limited ways. But some people are saying, I don't want to go, it's too scary. But,
mm,
how we perhaps get ourselves some sort of decent routine that may well be very different than we're used to. Get yourself a routine, get yourself a reason to get out of bed every day,
mm,
whether you're saying it, and something you can cope with. It might be tiny, it might not matter to anybody else, but for you it's a big deal. So getting out of bed, having a shower,
mm,
putting a bit of lippy on, putting a bit
mm,
aftershave on, going for a walk in the morning, whatever it might be, things that make you feel better, dressing reasonably clean
mm,
clothes and smart. Because
mm,
some people, I know people who've not had a shower for 3, 4, 5 days, can't be bothered, and they're wearing the same, take them off and put them back on again the next day, the same clothes. So starting to invest a bit more in your pride and your
mm,
sense of self-worth, and doing little things for you that help you feel better. And,
mm,
buying yourself a tiny bunch of flowers from the local shop, or cutting some flowers out of your garden if you've got some, and putting them in your bathroom so that you go in and you think, oh, setting time aside for making yourself a homemade soup. A lot of people have been baking, but doing things each day that help you feel good about yourself, that don't cost a lot of money, but that actually help you feel more positive. Doing a few crafts, starting to make a few Christmas cards, perhaps homemade Christmas cards this year for your close people will be lovely, beautifully received. People will be happy with them. Getting knitting out, or scrapbooking, or board games, things that you really feel, making your home feel a bit more comfortable, because this is hibernation time of the year. So,
Mm.
Getting your bright colors and reds and golds and silvers, and, maybe some scented candles that you've got in that cupboard that you've forgotten all about, but they're there. Dig them out and light them if you can't safely. So all the sort of things, setting aside time to read a book, or to go through your old photo albums or your music back catalogue, and reading that book you always meant to read. So there's lots of little things that we can do, perhaps spacing them out, but that give us some purpose, some positivity, some feel good, some making our home feel comfortable. And then we're not, yes, the background worry about work and money and things like that is still there, but we can't do anything about that. But we're coping from day to day. And that's the best we can. Phoning a friend every day, phoning
Mm.
somebody. And also, I think, staying a bit off social media, not
Mm.
checking the news all the time, not seeing what's going on Twitter,
Mm.
and phoning a friend and agreeing not to talk about, or not to have it as the only topic of conversation. So
Mm.
you say, right, you tell me something good about your life, and I'll tell you something good about mine. So you're
Mm.
sharing good news, and you're bigging each other up, and you're congratulating each other because they've made a bread or tested a soup and it didn't work, but hey ho, you had a go. Well done, love. And
Oh
it's
yeah,
all
yeah.
that kind of thing. It's all that kind of thing that makes a big difference.
It does, doesn't it? We've got to, it's all positivity, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, yeah. Little steps,
Yeah.
little steps.
Yeah. Yeah. Little steps. So, um, what would you say to somebody then who's watching now, who's kind of got, it's not sleeping, and then they're really worried about things, and what would you say? What would you actually give them some comfort? Ask them, what would you actually say to that person?
I would say share how you're feeling, and talk to people. Discover that you're not on your own, that everybody else is in the same boat or is feeling not dissimilar to yourself. Virtually everybody has had some struggles at some time. So share and talk with a friend, but agree to have an embargo after 10 minutes or something, so you start talking about other things. I think have something positive every day that you feel is a satisfaction or a success or an achievement, even if it's a small thing, from a phone call to baking to doing a walk to having that shower. That's something that's really good. I think agree to yourself that you're going to wind down from a couple of hours before you go to bed. So from 8 or 9 o'clock or whatever it is, turn your phone off, unless there's an emergency and you need it on, but turn your phone off, start winding down, maybe take a bath, maybe listen to some relaxing music, maybe do a little bit of yoga, maybe have a walk with a dog or something, but do sort of things. And then try to park it up, try to say to yourself those positive things. I am dealing with what I can deal with. I'm
Mm.
doing what I can do. This will pass, because it will pass to a greater or lesser extent. I don't believe anything's going to be completely the same ever again, but it's going to pass. The dire
Mm.
state we're in at the minute will pass.
Mm. Mm.
So, at the end of the day, starting to make your bedroom an oasis of calm. So
Mm.
your bedroom, I think, is an important place where don't have it as a clutter room where you shove everything, and that you don't want other people, guests or whatever, and typically to see. Make sure your bedroom is an oasis, somewhere where you
Mm.
go, you shut the door, you feel good about being there. Clean
Yeah.
sheets. Clean sheets are always the top of somebody's list,
Oh yeah.
clean bedding,
Yeah. Well, like
it's a
that in this
lovely,
house. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
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 I've got to have 2 showers a day. I
yeah,
have carers. I have carers come in every day, and I make sure that I have showers every morning and evening. So you know, and clean sheets is a must anyway in here. So
yeah,
it's all. So because I don't like untidy or dirty, whatever.
Mm.
Okay, let's have a look at these questions here. Um, Sus, um, Susan, with me, I like to sleep in the daytime, and when it comes to the morning, I cannot fall asleep. How about that?
Well, I think, Wayne, I would suggest that might have become a habit for you. And if if you're sleeping in the day, you don't necessarily need to sleep at night. So if you want to change that, so you're sleeping, thank you, Fiona, so that you're wanting to sleep at night time, then start being a bit more disciplined about that. I don't know if you work or not, Wayne, but if you do work, then maybe try to be a bit more organized with yourself. It's very easy. We can all sit in front of the telly in the afternoon and discover halfway through Judge Judy or something ridiculous that's on daytime TV, and suddenly discover that we've been asleep. Well, if you're sleeping, you're not wanting to sleep 14 hours a day, for goodness sake. So you're not
Oh,
necessarily going to want to sleep at night time if you're sleeping in the day. So make a point of saying, like I said before, intercept. If you
mm,
find you're typically falling asleep about 3 o'clock, go for a walk or go and do something in the garden. Fresh air is usually pretty good at keeping us alert and awake. And it's an energetic thing. So we are moving our bodies, we're feeling good about ourselves. Phone a friend and have a chat. Sort the cupboards out, sort your sock drawer out. Do something that keeps you busy because just like a child, we gradually, if you've got children who don't sleep at night, you invariably hear parents saying, I've tried to stop them having their afternoon nap now because I find when they have their afternoon nap, they don't sleep at night. Well, it's the same
mm,
with us. We don't need to sleep all the time. So yes, it could be a touch of depression, it could be a touch of low mood, but do things to keep you energetic so that you're able to go to bed at 8 or 9 or whatever at night, excuse me, and actually feel able to go to sleep because you've not done all your hours sleeping in the day. Change your habit, change your
mm,
routine, stop it, intercept.
mm, mm. Um, Hi, Susan. I have nightmares, and every time I have a nightmare, I sleepwalk.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that the case? Is it?
Well, no, it's not. It's not. People, the two things don't necessarily go together, but right. I mean, the thing with nightmares and bad dreams, let's start with that first. The thing with nightmares and bad dreams is if it's the same dream or the same theme of the bad dream or the nightmare all the time, then that's what I call unresolved issues. Dreams and nightmares and things are what actually started my career off at the BBC about 30 years ago. So this is how I started my radio career, doing dream analysis and dreams and things.
All
But
right.
yeah, absolutely, about 30 years ago. So dreams are our unconscious mind's way of processing what's happened in the day. So if there's nothing much happened in the day, we'll just pick up. We all have apparently between 5 and 7 dreams every single night of the week. You may not remember them. I don't remember mine, but I know that this is the truth. We all have between 5 and 7 dreams every night. Now, if we have a situation that we feel stuck in, that we can't get out of, that then our dreams will be like a bad marriage or a job that we're not happy with, or a child who is problematic, difficult, or a health issue or something that is worrying us on our mind is difficult, but we can't really do anything about it. We're kind of like a prisoner of the circumstance. Then our dreams might be all about trying to find solutions, ways through it. And so we might keep on and on and on and on, having that repetitive dream over and over again to try and find some way through it. Sometimes we might manage it and we might just manage to change our perspective on it so that we look at it in a different way.
Mm,
It doesn't bother us as much. We might find some sort of solution overnight like that. But at the same time, our repetitive dreams are about trying to find solutions and ways through that. So that's what we often will use to actually find respite, comfort, whatever. Now, if we are having nightmares, it can be that we're trapped or in a situation. I mean, she said nightmares, so there's obviously more than one. So if we're having regular nightmares, regular disturbed sleep, then what's happening is that there is some sort of situation, either historical or that's being triggered now, that is going on in her life that she needs to resolve or find some way forward. So I would say, not necessarily the actual story, but what is the feeling? What's going on with this? You know, for example, I feel like I'm being chased, or I feel that I'm trapped, or I feel I'm stuck, or I feel I can't get out, or I feel they are after me, or something. Well, have a look at what that might be in your life that fits those particular phrases, that fits those particular words. What is it about? And then see what that's all about. Now, normally, when we go to bed at night, we get what, like a sleep paralysis. We get our bodies will become, it's just a natural thing. I mean, you see dogs, the legs are moving, but they're not actually running when they're dreaming. And the same thing normally happens with us. Well, if she's actually walking and moving around, then that's fairly unusual. And I would suggest there might be medication involved. Have a look if there's medication involved or a health condition involved. That might be worth having a word with your doctor about, your GP about, seeing if they can change that. I don't know the circumstances, only what you've said to me tonight. But, you know, have a look and see if there's some way through that. But certainly in terms of disturbed dreams, vivid dreams, bad dreams, that's usually what's an underpinning thing. And Fiona, you're right. I mean, for me, I know my daily walk on the towpath has been wonderful, saving grace for me. I started every day doing a walk on I live on the canal, on the banks of the canal, and every day on my social media now, on my Twitter account, Susan Lee One, I will put a photograph and a hashtag daily walk, and it's outside.
Oh yeah, see that? Yeah,
It's
watch that.
wonderful. I mean, I do that every day, photographing the heron or the ducklings or the sunrise or whatever it is, and it really is my saving grace. Absolutely, Fiona, I get that completely.
Yeah, you got me. You got me out on my scooter now. I go down the
Do
cycle track now.
you?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
wonderful. It's
I'll
wonderful.
tell you. I'll tell you about it in a minute when we come off. Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
folks. Okay, folks. I'm sorry, but it's 9 o'clock. I'll tell you what. It goes fast here, doesn't it? When season's on.
Lot to say.
A lot to say. Okay, we will see you again some other time. Thank you, Susan. Just
Thank
stay there,
you.
and then I'll talk to you now. See you
Okay.
later. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.